Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Sports Daily here on KFH. Tommy Kester, along with Paul Savage, joining us today, in for Jacob Albrocht. Jad Chambers producing the program. That IHOP hotline is open at 869-1240. It's brought to you by IHOP. Celebrate the weekdays with new IHOP House Faves. All your favorites for just $6 Monday through Friday. It's a reaction Monday, as it always is. On our Mondays, recapping everything that happened in the world of both NFL and college football. We've got a lot to get to on the program today. The voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, will join us coming up in our very next segment at about 9:15 or so. We'll talk about and react to everything that happened with the Wildcats being upset in Houston on Saturday. Paul Savage, welcome in this morning. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How about you, big boy? A lot going on in the world of sports. Boy, how about college football coming down to the last 5 weeks?
I'll tell you what.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. There's things going on I had no clue that would be happening. Seriously, with certain teams, it's blowing my mind.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the way that it is. And we get our very first
You're right.
college football playoff rankings coming up tomorrow.
Here it comes.
You can throw out the top 25 polls at this point, because all that matters is the top 12 in those college football playoff rankings.
Well, there's
so that
pride, though. There's pride.
Well, there's
I mean,
pride, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is, do you get into the 12-team playoff? And we're going to spend quite a bit of time here this morning talking about the Wildcats and their prospects to be in that 12-team playoff. Took a major hit on Saturday after they were upset on the road in Houston in the rain on Saturday. Before we get into that, though, really quick, speaking of rain, man, it's been nice to get some rain here this weekend. I don't know about you, but it was nice to just kind of be able to relax and watch the rain fall. It's been a while since we've done that this week.
Well, you know, something that's even deeper for me, you know, I have a little place that has a little lake on it. It's so far down, you know, our survival comes to water. It literally comes to water. And this is a part of the United States that needs water so bad. You know, I've not been out to Lake Cheney in quite some time, but a friend of mine told me the other day that it is so far down that the docks are on mud. The boats, there's no boats out there, obviously, but we need this rain, Tommy. This isn't just, you know, for your relaxation. No offense. I'm glad.
But I mean, that's
happy.
A byproduct of it, right?
It's
lay
a
on the couch, watch football, watch the rain fall.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nice.
But this is, oh man, this is like a godsend. We need this, Tommy, so bad for the state of Kansas, for Wichita in particular. You know, I'm starting to worry about our water supply. Now, maybe I shouldn't do that.
I mean,
maybe I should be on Ted and
Stephen Ted, over on KNSS
and talk about this. Right. But man, I'll tell you what, I'm a little worried. I'm so glad to see this rain. I can't begin to tell you.
You know, the conservation efforts have been going on for a while, and so I mean, that's what I thought about too. As I'm watching the rainfall, is hey, this certainly can help, and we need more of it. And it was raining when I drove in this morning. Hopefully that continues for a while too, so we can have a few more of these nice soaking rains. Jad, you had something to add?
Ahead. Well, I was just going to say we did talk about rain and such this morning on Steve and Ted.
Good.
And we did mention the fact that they've got at Cheney Reservoir, they have measured it's right around 6 inches.
Okay, good.
Oh, no kidding.
Good. So half a foot up. Now that's nowhere near what it's down.
Right.
We still need a lot more to get it anywhere near normal, but they did make that determination that, about a half foot up.
Well, Tommy, do you mind if I just ask Jad one real quick question?
Go for it.
I mean, we're into this. How many feet? I'm assuming it's feet. How many feet does Cheney need to get back to normal? I really don't know. I'm just curious. And I don't know. And I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything.
I'd have to look it up to be 100% sure.
Is it like 5 feet maybe or more?
No, it's more than that. But I'll look it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hopefully we can continue on with, more rain chances. I know that, today at least. And we're in that time of year where the seasons are changing and, hopefully we can continue with more of an active weather pattern as we move on. But it was raining in Houston on Saturday.
Oh, gosh.
Definitely an impact to the game for both teams. And man, I'll tell you what, Paul, and we're going to get into it more, like I mentioned in our very next segment with Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Wildcats. The weather really impacted the game, and it really muddied the game up both literally and figuratively. Just basically because
Right.
Houston was able to get the game more in the speed that they wanted it to be. The weather prevented Kansas State from being explosive offensively. Avery Johnson didn't have his best game, through a couple of interceptions that, certainly contributed to the loss for Kansas State. Houston's a better team, I think, than what people give them credit for. Of course, they are now on a 2-game winning streak. They beat Utah a weekend ago and then upset Kansas State. Was this game, in your opinion, more about Houston winning the game or more about Kansas State losing the game?
Well, it's about Houston winning them. This is a home game for them, and of course, the stadium was not that full from the weather delay. By the way, I clicked over there about 5 minutes after I clicked onto the game. About 5 minutes after it was supposed to start, and then on the little banner down below it said lightning.
Yeah,
and I thought to myself, here we go, because I don't know if you probably knew this. Some people may not be aware of this, but the NCAA, and let me just point out, Kansas High School Athletic Association, they have mandatory, if lightning is in the area, there are mandatory times that you can't go on the field.
right.
And I think for high school, it's like 30 or 45 minutes. If you see lightning, you're supposed to say, I haven't seen lightning now for 45 minutes. Now we can play. But it's so important.
And then there's a warm-up period, and there's all of that. I mean, so you're
That's-
talking about potentially significant delays.
So when I saw it, when it was supposed to, the game was supposed to be starting, or within say 5 minutes of when it was supposed to be starting, I thought, this game could literally be 2 hours later. And fortunately they got the game off and it got played, but it's pretty late. But anyway, the game went off without a hitch, at least after that. I don't remember them having to stop play for anything. But I'll tell you what, it's like, and I hate to say that there are external forces that can affect a football team. And I thought that the delay affected K-State more than it affected Houston. And that's partly because when Houston goes into their locker room, they go into their locker room. That's their place. That's where they suit up and play a game, home games all throughout the year. They're familiar with it. K-State, on the other hand, is traveling. They're down in Houston. It's rainy, it's lightning, it's delayed, everything is off. You're going to end up playing later and later. And, I could almost make the case that I wasn't surprised, a little surprised, but this is Houston. But Tommy, this Houston team is not the same Houston team as the first 2 or 3 games of the season. This is a different team that has gotten back. That was not a bad football team.
They made a quarterback change, Paul, midway through the season that has really sort of elevated them. It's really propelled them forward. And Zion Chris had a great game for the Cougars. I mean, it was really his game, and the Wildcats had a really difficult time limiting him through the air. He didn't throw the ball a whole lot. You really couldn't in that kind of atmosphere and that kind of environment with the weather, but he was 11 of 11, 103 yards through the air and 1 touchdown.
Weather, by the way. In that weather.
But then what I think was even more beneficial in the long run for Houston, Chris had 22 carries, 75 yards, and had a touchdown on the ground. So, I mean, he is a running quarterback. That's really what he does best. That's why Willie Fritz made that quarterback change, had Chris take over the starting reins, because he's mobile. He can run. He can get you first downs. He can get into the end zone. He didn't average a whole bunch of yards, right? He averaged just over 3 yards a carry. It wasn't anything mind-blowing, but he did what he needed to do, to get Houston into positions to score. And ultimately, it was the fourth quarter. I mean, it had been a long day, I think, for Kansas State with the delay and all of that, and not ideal weather conditions. And then the bottom line is that Houston outscored them 14-0 in the fourth quarter, and that was that. Houston gets the win.
It was just as simple as the way you just put it. But you got to take your hats off to Houston. It's a team that's come back. They've made the changes they need to make. And Willie Geist, I mean, that guy's not an amateur.
Willie Fritz, right?
Willie Fritz. I'm sorry, Willie Fritz. He's not an amateur, is he? This guy has been around the block a couple of times, so he knows.
He's played K-State close before when he was the head coach at Tulane. Very nearly upset the Wildcats. And Fritz is a Kansas guy. He's familiar with the program. He's from the state, all of that. I would argue, even though they upset Utah a week ago, it's a shell of, the team that I think everybody thought Utah would be. This was the signature win for Willie Fritz in this Houston program
No question.
this year. You were talking before we came on the air
question.
about the potential that this program has if they can harness NIL, if they can get the recruiting surrounding them. This could be a potential sleeping giant in the Big 12 long term.
Right. And really, if you look at it in terms of potential, the potential at Houston is better than at K-State. Now, I know people are going, wait a second, what are you talking about? I mean, this is a team that's, up to this point was right in the race for the Big 12 championship. And they still might be. We don't know. There's still a lot of football to be played.
Sure.
But
it helped that Iowa State lost, by the way.
That
helped out a ton.
That helped out a lot. It certainly did. Now, of course, people are asking, well, with 2 losses, what does that do to K-State in terms of the Big 12? When I say the Big 12, the 12 that go
the
to
CFP.
Yeah,
they've got to win the Big 12 championship.
I don't see another course.
There's no way. I want to get Wyatt's thought on this in our next segment. I don't think there's any possible way that a 2-loss Kansas State team, or really a 2-loss Big 12 team in general, is going to make the CFP.
Right.
I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, and we know. Here's what we know. Here's the only thing we know at this point. It looks like to me, and maybe you would have a different opinion, the Big 12 is going to get one team in.
They'll get the champion. They'll get
that's the way it's
champion.
looking like to me. Does that sort of look like
the only other way that I could see that happening? I think there's maybe one other option.
What would that be?
BYU wins the rest of the way until the Big 12 championship.
Oh, that's right.
And then they lose, and then a 2-loss team, and it could be Kansas State, it could be Iowa State, it could be whatever.
I should have thought of that.
Wins
That's right. No,
the
that's
Big 12
correct.
championship.
No, that's correct.
And then maybe BYU, a 1-loss BYU team, could get an at-large bid. Maybe. But again, BYU's strength of schedule, I think they're going to look at, would you take BYU, a 1-loss BYU team as an at-large, or potentially a 2-loss Alabama team? And that's what the committee is going to have to decide if and when we get to that point.
I think I'd take BYU. And the reason I would is because I don't want the hassle of saying I'm playing favorites. And that's they were playing favorites with 4 teams into the playoffs. They can still play games with 12. I would say BYU, because it's not exactly a slouch of a league, although 2 losses for Alabama, who can see that? And the SEC, they're capable of beating each other up, aren't they?
That's what the Big 12 has been doing. They've been cannibalizing each other. And really, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said the Big 12 is playing their way into one team being in this 12-team playoff. I want to get Wyatt Thompson's take on this, as well as the Houston upset in the rain against Kansas State on Saturday. We've got Wyatt on the other side. We'll take a timeout. Coming right back, the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, will join us next. It's Sports Daily on KFH.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch. 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSCW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, You're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily on this Reaction Monday. Tommy Castor, Paul Savage in for Jacob Albrock, Jad Chambers producing the program, joined now by the voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, for our weekly visit on Mondays. Wyatt, let's just jump right into it, I suppose. It was a rough weekend for the Wildcats in several different ways. Of course, the weather was not ideal down in Houston with delays and the rain and all of that. And then ultimately, the Cougars upset the Wildcats by a final score of 24-19. About, little less than 48 hours post that game. What do you feel like the vibe is right now around the program?
I think total disappointment and frustration, if you want to know the truth. I think everybody, whether it's the fan base, the coaching staff, players, people that follow the team on a daily basis, athletic department folks. I mean, it was a bummer of a day. Really, I was trying to think of one that could match it in most recent times, just in terms of the fact that you don't play really very well, but you have a 19-10 lead in the fourth quarter and let it slip away. On a weekend where there were plenty of upsets, certainly. Don't debate that at all, but boy, you win that game, you're in awfully good shape with the Iowa State loss. It's a stinger. You can't mask it. You just can't.
Yeah, and we talked before we brought you on in our first segment just about what Houston was able to do, and I used the phrase that they muddied up the game, both literally and figuratively, obviously, but
Yeah.
just in the style in which they played. Willie Fritz made that quarterback change over to Zeon Chris a couple of weeks ago, and it was the Zeon Chris game. I mean, whether he was throwing it through the air and was super efficient when he did it, or running the football, it wasn't like he did anything spectacular in running the football, but he consistently got Houston in positions where they were able to extend drives or get into the end zone. And then those 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, obviously the key to the game for Houston.
Without a doubt. And those points, in all frankness, coming on Kansas State mistakes. I think when you look at the totality of the ball game, you can kind of boil all of the water out of it and say probably something like this. K-State got beat at the line of scrimmage on offense for the most part. They got beat at the line of scrimmage defensively, mistakes, and just you can't average 2.6 yards per carry on the road and beat anybody, man. You just can't do it. And K-State's been better than that, but they weren't Saturday. I'm going to give Houston a lot of credit for like you say, muddying up the game, doing enough. I've heard so many people say, well, that guy couldn't throw it all. Well, he was 11 for 11, so that's probably inaccurate.
Yeah.
Is he great? Certainly not. But they did just enough. They hurt K-State on about 4 plays. And unfortunately, because of scoring just 19 points, it got them beat. Simple as that.
The interesting thing, I love the way you brought up the physicality of the line of scrimmage, and inevitably you and I always talk about it whenever you and I are together on an interview like this, and I really appreciate you bringing it up, because here's my question to you: is the great teams are the ones that they don't have their aggressiveness, their rugged play on the line of scrimmage, their ability to get movement on offense and to prevent movement on defense. Those are the teams that win games, win championships, and go to playoffs. And we have been talking about the Kansas State Wildcats as one of those teams where they had the potential to be that team. They have dominated a lot of games up front. Why did they not dominate this game? Because it looked like to me they had better personnel than Houston had. I was trying to figure this out, because you're right. Your comment that they were not dominant at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the balls, Wyatt, is 100% spot on.
Well, you said a lot there, Paul, and I guess what I would start with is this. On this particular day, Houston's front defensively was better than K-State's.
Yeah, you're right.
K-State's offensive line. And I'm looking at, and I'm seeing Keith Cooper, who played for Coach Fritz at Tulane, Carlos Allen, Anthony Holmes, Ikea Strong. Those names really don't mean anything to those people listening to this, but they mean a lot to Houston. And I said last week, be aware of this team defensively. They're better than you think. They're better than you know. They were 3rd in the league in total defense going into the weekend. They're not a joke defensively. They have really struggled offensively. Guys, they were 3-5 going into the game, had been shut out twice in league play. But that was back earlier on. I'm not saying they've arrived and are great. That's not what I mean. But they have defensively, and they were just good enough offensively that in combination, and then with K-State's play, you've got a very frustrating 24-19 loss. It's as simple as that. Hope I answered the question, but their defensive front stuffed K-State. They just did most of the day.
Wyatt, I don't mean this as a knock at all on Chris Kleiman. I have a ton of respect for Chris Kleiman. I think he's a phenomenal coach. But in this particular game, Houston was not the more talented team. They were not the more athletic team. They were not the better team, but they were better coached. And Willie Fritz is a phenomenal coach. And the fact that he has been able to get this team, they're in a rebuild. but he's accelerated that rebuild, and they're 2 wins away from a bowl game. And I don't know what it is about Fritz specifically, but he tends to play the Wildcats pretty tough. He did when he was at Tulane. I wonder if that shone through from your perspective in watching the game, and in that, man, Willie Fritz, he's getting so much more out of so much less than maybe what people expected him to do.
Well, I'm going to say this, not that I'm trying to correct you, but so much less offensively.
Sure.
I do think if you're looking at this defense and crunching numbers against everybody else in the league, they are one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Where they won the game probably was those 3 or 4 plays. I mean, they scored their first 2 touchdowns based on long pass plays. One was an actual scoring play to Manjack, and then the other gets him down inside the 5. But I mean, you think about all of the things. K-State was hurt by penalties. They were hurt by the 2 interceptions, particularly with the timing of it. But you miss an extra point. You have a bad snap on a field goal. I mean, there's 4 points right there. You're going to overtime tied to 24 if you do that. So you can look at a lot of different things. It wasn't Avery's best game. I don't know. I'm going to say that most people will agree with me on this. I thought, the play calling was in the first drive was pretty darn good. After that, you could probably question it, right? I guess that's the thing. I'm not saying what you're saying hasn't have some validity, because it does, but because are they one of the better teams in the league? No. And is K-State? I think so.
Yeah.
But Coach Kleiman has said, hey, we've played a lot of teams and beaten a lot of teams that are probably better than us, but we do it with what we do. And what we do didn't happen Saturday.
Yeah, and I think that, following up a little bit on what you mentioned with Avery Johnson, yeah, I mean, he threw a couple of picks, and, the one late absolutely was a backbreaker for the Wildcats. Are there any lingering concerns about his play on Saturday, or can you chalk it up to just kind of like the BYU game? Like, things just sort of snowballed. It wasn't a great offensive outing. You can take the weather into account and all of that, but he still is Avery Johnson, and he'll still be great, and he will continue to do that and bounce back next week. Or was there anything that you saw that you're like, man, that might be something they need to kind of work through?
Well, I think there's a little of all of it on the table, probably. Would Avery tell you, if he were sitting here, that he's got to get better and make some better decisions in a few of those moments on Saturday? No question. Does K-State need to run the ball better? Yeah. Better pass defense? You betcha. The frustrating thing is, and I'm just going to look at this, I'll lean over here and look at my defensive chart. The frustrating thing is, if you really, at least from my perspective here, is you gave up 232 yards on the road and got beat.
Right.
That's just that's not a gut punch. That's 10 gut punches, right? I mean, you win those games most of the time, and yet you didn't. And again, I'm not going to say too much about the weather. They had to play in it too.
Sure.
Right. They made just enough plays offensively. I'll go back to that, because the long plays, the game winning, long touchdown run wasn't very good defense on K-State's part. If you take out those plays, and you can't, but if you do, they defended them well enough to win the game. But offensively, we could talk about that all day. Again, I go back to K-State averaged 4.4 yards per play. Not per rush, per play. Just not good enough.
Earlier in the show, my broadcast partner and I, he's smart at times. There's
every once in a while.
Every once in a while, Tommy's pretty darn smart. And I made the comment. I just blurted it out. I said, it looks like to me at this point, it looks like the Big 12 is only going to get one team into the final 12 playoffs. And Tommy then said, being a great broadcast partner, he said, well, it might be too if BYU wins out and then ends up losing in the championship game. Maybe the champion and BYU would go into the playoffs. Is that a scenario that's possible, or would, as Tommy brought up, a team like Alabama, or would somebody like that be higher rated or looked upon in a greater way than, say, a BYU?
Well, it really is a great subject and question. And I would tell you that if you're playing the odds under that particular scenario, I'm not a betting man, but I would say we'll look out for Alabama to make it and a Big 12 number 2 team to not. Just based on what we've seen before. Now, you can make the argument that a 12-team playoff is going to be different and maybe more fair than a 4. And I would like to think that is so. But I'm not going to kid you guys. I've said this forever. Forever. There is bias in it, and there always has been, and maybe there always will be. I think there's bias when you get down to NCAA tournament bracket and those last few teams and who gets in and who doesn't. That's just the nature of it. Doesn't mean it's crooked necessarily, but, you know, the TV matters, and it always, and it more so now than ever before. So I worry about that from the perspective of the league. And, you know, that, I mean, the way we feel today, I'm going to guess Iowa State folks are feeling the exact same way.
Yeah. Well,
and they lost a home game, and most don't do that in this league if you're going to make playoffs. So, you know, there's still a long ways to go. And I would make the argument of, I'm not worrying about the playoffs today. We got Arizona State in here in 2 weeks, and they just crushed Oklahoma State in Stillwater. And I know OSU struggled. I get it. But Cincinnati and then in Ames, let's go be 10-2, and then we can make our argument after that.
Yeah. And to your point, I mean, really the only silver lining for the Wildcats on Saturday was that Iowa State lost. And, you know, obviously there could have been that opportunity to, you know, Iowa State loses, Kansas State wins. Then you've got the very first CFP rankings coming out tomorrow. Could Kansas State have maybe squeaked into that if they had won on Saturday? Maybe. You know, so like there's a lot of what ifs there that we'll never know. But we do know that at least with Iowa State losing, the door is not shut on Kansas State playing for a Big 12 championship. But that margin of error has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, and it starts in 2 weeks with an Arizona State team that I don't think anybody had really had on their radar at all this season. And here they are 6-2. They're 3-2 in the Big 12. And like you just mentioned, they put a thumping on Oklahoma State on Saturday. There's definitely there's a threat there from the Sun Devils. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and something that the Wildcats are going to have to get ready for in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you know what? They're a different team when Sam Levitter's their quarterback. That is a highly rated young man who transferred in there, has fit into what they do. Scadaboo has great talent as a hard runner, but also as a receiver in the backfield. Jordan Tyson's one of the most underrated receivers in our league. They will be a hard out, I think. Back to the 12 for a moment, that, you know, and we probably should try to augment our point from a moment ago by saying, if you're Iowa State and Kansas State, the one team you're worrying about right now isn't as much Alabama as it is Colorado.
Sure.
Oh, that
100%.
No,
you know why?
Yeah.
Dion.
Yeah.
And the magnitude of the television stuff there, it matters, guys. That's what we were saying. You can argue all day long whether the committee will take that into consideration or not. I'm just saying it hasn't. The TV is going to make an influence, and that's the nature of it.
I think you're spot on there, and the fact that you've got a Big 12 that has beat up on each other and cannibalized each other with teams that, you know, nobody had on the radar. You know, we talked about Arizona State just a second ago. BYU was completely off the radar, and now all of a sudden they're a top 10 team nationally, and still undefeated and all of that. I wonder, from the perspective of Coach Kleiman, the coaching staff, the team, you've got this off week, and then you go into playing Arizona State, then Cincinnati, then Farmageddon to wrap up the season. What are some things in your mind that you think that this program either will be working on or should be working on in preparation for not only Arizona State, but the remainder of the regular season that maybe reared its ugly head against Houston, or things that they need to shore up before they play the Sun Devils next weekend?
Well, I think most things you would point to are correctable things. That's probably the best part. After the game, my statement leading into Coach Kleiman, K-State fought, too many mistakes to win, did some good things, but he said, the fundamental part is the fundamental things of the game. K-State wasn't good enough. And what he's talking about is, we talked about the snap and the hold issues, but there were some good punts and there were some punts that hurt K-State, return kind of thing, coverage kind of thing, sustaining blocks, right? All of those kind of things really matter. And over the course of his 6 years here, K-State's been pretty darn good at that most of the time. Occasionally they will have one of these kind of games, and you just have to continue to grind with it. I think the coaches like this group of guys. I know how much they hurt. I was sitting on that plane right behind a bunch of them, and they were hurting. So I think they'll get back to work. But you're going to have to get your mind right and get going and flush that. And it's hard to do because it meant so much in the grand scheme and the big picture, both in the league and nationally. 100%
You know why it's going to get harder in the future, and I think Tommy would agree with this, because some of the teams in the Big 12 are not the teams I thought they were going to be early in the year, and I've really been. I'll confess, I thought Utah was going to be better than they were. I quite frankly thought Arizona was going to be better than Arizona State. I really did. Now maybe I shouldn't have thought that, but that's what I thought. I'm having a hard time figuring out who's going to be a power in football conferences until they get started doing that. What is your way of evaluating who's going to be those teams that have the strength from the beginning to the end? Because I'm not sure the way I've been looking at it has been the right way. Why? What do you do?
Okay, let's go away from the Big 12 a second, because I've been thinking about this all weekend. Okay. When you talk about the 12, would you say they will or they won't when that first one comes out tomorrow that Indiana's in that top 12?
Well,
I think they will.
It's got to be, doesn't it?
Well, that's the debate, and here's my point. Their non-conference schedule: Florida International, Western Illinois, and Charlotte.
Yeah.
The reality of it is that's not very damn good.
Yeah.
It isn't. K-State played, as an example, at Tulane, right?
Right.
And against Arizona at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I guess we could look at Iowa State too. Remember now, everybody's all in love with Colorado right now, but they lost at Nebraska and got pumped, right? So all I guess I'm trying to say is there's so much to take into consideration here. I'm anxious to look at that first one just to see what it looks like, because when you look at the top programs and you look at the rankings, I mean, let's not even worry about right now with the top 6 or 7 or 8. It's more about that next group, because that next group, you go anywhere from 8 to 16. Maybe even 17.
It's
What's
really
the
muddy.
difference?
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah, it gets
Not
really
much.
jumbled up there. And to your point, even a BYU team that is leading the Big 12 and undefeated outside of, what really is a quality, big time quality win against SMU in the non-conference. They've also got wins over Southern Illinois and Wyoming, in their non-conference. So that's not, outside of SMU, a really big time non-conference schedule either. So there's just a lot of jumbled up teams right there. And Kansas State, like we talked about before, they're not out of it, but they're going to have to win out. They're going to have to beat Iowa State in Ames at the end of the season and all of that. We don't yet know, because we're still a ways out. We don't yet know game time for the Arizona State game next weekend. But knowing, we're going into this off week and for Kansas State and all of that, I mean, you're going to get a little bit of rest, I would think. I mean, I know we've got basketball season and everything. We'd be remiss to not, at least mention hoop season kicking off and everything. You got the first game tomorrow night inside Bramlage for the regular season. So I guess maybe there's not quite as much rest as maybe you would like, Wyatt.
Well, but that's okay though too. I'm excited for basketball to get started. I mean, you think about today and tomorrow is really kind of the opening nights for everybody. It's just amazing to me to sit there and look at the polls and see in the top 10 you've got 5 Big 12 teams, right?
Oh, yeah,
that's wild. But it probably should be like that. I'm anxious to see, what some of these teams look like. In particular, our group here, I like these guys. They've got some things to work on after the Fort Hays exhibition for sure too. So let's see what the week has brought from that perspective. Then you turn right around and have Cleveland State coming in here on Saturday. So it may be a little bit of a slower week for football, at least in terms of games.
Sure.
But across my shoulder and up at the Veneer Complex, I guarantee you those coaches are working to get those guys better for the next, couple of weeks. So it's a big time right now, man. We're in November now. It's time to go.
Yep. Well, and like I mentioned, we won't have a Kansas State broadcast this weekend for the off week. And we don't have game time yet on Arizona State next weekend. But as soon as we get that, we'll share that with everyone. And then, of course, basketball tomorrow night inside Bramlage. You'll be on the call. And so we're looking forward to hearing that as everything gets kicked off for college basketball. Wyatt, we appreciate your time. And, of course, we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Nice talking to you. Appreciate you.
There goes Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Wildcats here on Sports Daily. And as I mentioned before, we'll have all the coverage of Kansas State basketball tomorrow night right here on KFH. We'll take another timeout. On the other side, some breaking news in the NFL that I want to get to, Paul, that came out right about the time that we were coming on the air. So we'll mention that, bring that up, and then get more into the NFL and the Chiefs in action Monday Night Football tonight, taking on the Buccaneers. We'll be right back. It's Sports Daily on KFH.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here. Celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Our thanks to Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Kansas State Wildcats, joining us here as he does every single Monday on Sports Daily. If you missed any of that, you want to go back and hear our conversation about Kansas State being upset in Houston on Saturday, you can go to the Odyssey app and listen to that entire interview right there for free. Download the Odyssey app, search for KFH, search for Sports Daily, and you can hear that interview with Wyatt Thompson. Tommy Castor, Paul Savage in for Jacob Albrecht on this Reaction Monday. Paul, very quickly here before we wrap up hour number one, some breaking news in the NFL that came down right about when we were coming on live here this morning. The New Orleans Saints have fired their head coach, Dennis Allen, after 7 losses in a row. The Saints started off the season 2-0. They've lost every game since then, including their loss yesterday by 1 point to the Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers are in full-fledged rebuild mode. So they lose to the Panthers in a divisional matchup, and this is actually the very first in-season firing that the New Orleans Saints have done since 1980. It's been over 40 years since the Saints have fired a coach midway through the season.
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised with that mood, with that move. I can tell you this right now. I think it may not be the last one because there's a lot of frustrations with numerous teams at this point, right? How about the Titans? You think there's any frustration over there? I believe there might be a little bit.
Sure.
So
the Raiders have frustration. They fired their offensive coordinator today.
That's right. Plus 2 other position coaches. I mean, literally, you got rid of a third of your important staff position coaches. I think they got rid of their quarterback coach, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe their offensive line coach.
Yeah.
And their coordinator. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's That's basically a resetting of half of a football team, isn't it, at the professional level? And you don't do that every day unless there is frustration with the ownership, with the management, whoever's making those decisions. So there's got to be a lot of frustration.
The Raiders have a quarterback issue by far. I mean, it's not working with Gardner Minshew. It didn't work with Aiden O'Connell. They brought in Desmond Ridder to replace Gardner Minshew in the third quarter yesterday. That didn't work. Like, they've got a quarterback issue with the Raiders that they've got to figure out. With the Saints, what's surprising to me, and I know Derek Carr was injured for a number of weeks, and they had Spencer Rattler starting a couple of games and didn't really work, and they weren't able to, make it work offensively until, really Carr came back. His first game back was yesterday. They still lost that game. It's surprising to me. Through 2 weeks of the season, I thought the Saints were for real. Like, I thought they were real. I mean, their offense was off the charts. They were the best offense in the NFL in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Right.
And then it just fell off a cliff, and they've never been able to get it back.
Well, right off the top, let me just say, I thought Minshew would do a better job than he did. I thought he might be that guy to get him through and take care of that. Spencer Rattler, there was no doubt in my mind he was not the guy.
Sure.
And I was stunned that he ended up starting the games that he started. I knew he wouldn't be the guy.
I don't think they had any other choice. I mean, with Derek Carr getting hurt.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Therein lies part of the problem. That was sort of out of by default that he got to be able to starter. But it's a mess. I'll tell you what, is there a more important position in the world of sports, all sports, rather than quarterback
Absolutely
in the
not.
NFL? There's not, is there?
Absolutely not. It's the second in-season firing of this year in the NFL. Of course, the Jets fired Robert Saleh a couple of weeks back. And now the Saints are team number 2, firing Dennis Allen.
Who's next, real quick, before we go to break?
Oh, man, that's a great question. It's probably not Antonio Pierce with the Raiders because he made those staff changes. He'll get let go at the end of the season if it doesn't work out. Do you have an idea? Who do you
Dallas
think?
Cowboys.
Mike McCarthy. He's
Dallas Cowboys.
Man, he's on the hot seat.
What do you
big time.
think? I'm thinking out loud here. I could be wrong.
If he hasn't been let go yet, he's not going to be let go until after the season. I just don't.
Maybe so.
I have a hard time thinking Jerry Jones is going to do that.
But how frustrated can Jerry Jones get?
I mean, is there a limit to the level of frustration? I mean,
for him,
come on.
I think there is. For him, I think there's a limit where he goes, "That's it." I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. But desperate men do desperate things.
Maybe Doug Peterson for the Jags.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
is probably on the list.
You can make
also,
a case for that too. Yeah.
I don't know. Of course, it's that time of year where you've got those underperforming teams starting to make changes with their coaches, and the Saints are the most recent one to do that, firing Dennis Allen this morning. They're 2-7. We've got a whole other look at the NFL on the other side, kicking off hour number 2. The Chiefs and Monday Night Football tonight against the Buccaneers. We'll preview that and a whole lot more. Sports Daily coming right back on KFH.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch. 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSTW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
It's a Reaction Monday on Sports Daily. I'm Tommy Castor, Paul Savage in for Jacob Albrocht today. Jad Chambers producing the program. That IHOP hotline is open the rest of the way at 869-1240. You can celebrate the weekdays with new IHOP House Faves, all your favorites for just $6 Monday through Friday. Jad, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. We talked about something a little while ago in regards to Wichita State women's basketball. We have a schedule update for that game today, correct?
Yes, we do. The Wichita State women's basketball game scheduled for 11 o'clock, so they had an early game. They have delayed it until at least 11:45.
Okay, so if you are on your way out to go see Shocker women's basketball start off their season, there's going to be a little bit of a delay this morning.
Yeah, may have just enough time to stop somewhere and grab something for breakfast or something.
There you go. Like, how about IHOP?
Exactly.
You can have the new IHOP House Faves, all your favorites for just $6 Monday through Friday.
I like the way you think at times.
How about that segue? Wasn't that great?
That was tremendous.
Yeah. You just, thinking on the spot.
That's why you're the lead
what we
host
do.
and I'm not.
That's what we do here on this program. So just a little scheduling update there is Terry Nooner's squad kicking off their season here later this morning. But due to travel delays, looks like that game will be starting a little bit later than what was originally scheduled for Shocker women's basketball. Hour number 2 of the program here continues. By the way, you can always watch our video stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on X. You can leave your video comments right there on the screen for us to see and respond to. You can also leave your voice messages by opening up and listening to our show on the Odyssey app, clicking on the microphone button. It's kind of like leaving us a voicemail. We'll get those messages. We'll play them back here on the air. We'll respond to them that way. So a multitude of different ways to get involved here on the program on this Monday morning. We spent a majority of hour number 1 talking about Kansas State football. Let's switch over to the NFL, Paul. And we talked about some of the firings that happened in the last 12 to 24 hours in the NFL in our last segment. But let's talk about, more of just our overall reactions from the NFL. We'll talk about the Chiefs and Monday Night Football coming up here in a little bit, but just overall reactions from the day in the NFL. I mean, I think that there are several. I think the fact that the Bills were able to win that divisional matchup against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins came on strong, but the Bills were able to get that game-winning field goal to seal the deal at home. I think that was big for them and their push to be one of the major contenders in the AFC. I thought the Ravens looked really good and kind of bounced back from what they had done a week ago in losing against the Browns. I thought that was a good bounce back win for the Ravens. Big takeaways for you from what you could tell yesterday.
Well, one, I think I've already asked you a little bit, but of course, Detroit, I think they're for real. I think,
well, they are.
I think
sure.
they're a good football team. And I really enjoyed watching that game. It was a rainy day. It was outdoors. And here's what I wasn't quite aware of. This is their first game outdoors. I hadn't really thought about it. I guess I should have understood that. They play indoors at home, and they've played wherever they've played on the road so far. They've been indoors. First game outdoors. Cold, rainy, wet, tough to place to play. Lambeau Field. It's a difficult environment to start with, and then let alone the rain and the cold. So they're for real because they showed me that they can play outdoors. And I love the press conference with Dan Campbell where he says, "Oh, we played outside? Well, we're built to play anywhere. We don't care." I mean, that was his attitude. Outdoors? I don't care. You want us to play us outdoors? Schedule it. We'll play. We don't care where we play. We'll play indoor. We'll play out. We don't care.
Yeah.
And I really like that. So that was one of my big takeaways is that I'm actually almost believing that the Lions, if things fall correctly and they avoid more injuries, I said more injuries, they avoid more injuries. This is a team that could be in the Super Bowl. It could be in the Super Bowl. That's my number 1 takeaway. And my other takeaway is what a fiasco Dallas is. What a fiasco Dallas is. All the money that team is worth. It's the most valuable franchise, professional athletic franchise in the world. And it's a fiasco. And, of course, Dak getting hurt. I don't know. Did you see the replay where he got hurt?
He did, yeah.
Pulled a ham.
Yep.
And you can pull a ham anywhere, anytime, any place. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And it's obvious he did because you see the close-up of him grimacing, and something's wrong. And, hammies are funny. You don't always come back from them pretty quick. They're a funny thing. They're a weird injury. Hamstrings can be very, very difficult. They can be easy, but most of them are very, very difficult. Dallas is my other point. So I went from the good to the ugly. And I think right now, Dallas might be one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the NFL at this moment with everything going on and with Dak going down. If Dak plays again next week, I will be stunned because it's a hamstring.
Let's go back to the good very briefly because I have a question about the Lions that I thought about you while this game was on because I thought it was just a fun game to watch. And, like you mentioned, the elements were in full effect at Lambeau and all of that. There's been this narrative for so long about Jared Goff playing outdoors and how good he is and how good the Lions are when they're playing in a dome, whether they're at home or they're on the road indoors. they're really, really good. But there's always been this narrative that Jared Goff can't play outside. Now, he didn't light the world on fire by any means. But again, from a weather perspective, there was only so much you could do. He was efficient, and he took care of the ball. I mean, he was 18 of 22, only threw for 145 yards, but it wasn't a day that you were going to air it out big time anyway. Do you think that a game like that breaks the narrative, or do you think that that will just kind of continue and that's kind of his calling card?
By the way, with the kind of day it was, you're going to line up and run the football. You're going to come off the ball, you're going to get movement, and you're going to run the ball, and you're going to be happy with 4 or 5 yards every time you run the football. And that's what you're going to do. But those are the kind of games those were the kind of days for those kind of games, rainy, wet, cold, tougher to catch a ball, all those kind of things. So it showed me that, and the defense was just outstanding, let alone with the big loss that they had with Hutchinson last was it 2 weeks ago?
Couple weeks ago, yeah, when they lost Hutchinson.
I've lost track of time. A couple weeks ago. And let me tell you, there's a big fall off because I watched that position. I watched the defensive end, and I can't remember his name, who it was, but it's a big fall off. I mean, with aggressiveness, with footwork, with everything. Hutchinson is an artist. I use the word artist because it's really an art. Pass rush techniques are an art, and he was a masterpiece with that. But this is a team that just is solid everywhere. If I was to ask you, Tommy, where do the Lions need improvement other than the defensive injury, that one position? What would you say? Because that's a pretty solid football team. I'd say everybody needs to improve. You always need to improve. But what's the one thing? I don't know that I have a one thing.
I mean, I think that Jordan Love threw for a lot of yards in a game where it wasn't built, like the game wasn't set up for a lot of yards through the air. And Jordan Love got him for almost 300 yards. So I don't know if that's a secondary thing for the Lions.
Maybe it is.
Ultimately, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
The Lions get the win, and it's a really important divisional win, just because of that race. The fact that the Vikings, I think, were able to knock off the Colts to keep pace in the division is really important. And I've said for quite a while now, I wholeheartedly believe that the NFC North is the most difficult division in the NFL. But on the other side, I know you mentioned the Cowboys as being the worst, like most disappointed.
I'm very disappointed.
I was most disappointed in the Chicago Bears. Because
I got you.
The Cardinals are better, like they're improved. And when you've got, the dynamic receiver and Marv Harrison out there, like that improves them significantly.
Yes, it does.
But they're not world beaters. And they made the Bears look really, really bad on Sunday. And I know Caleb Williams got dinged up a little bit in that game. The Bears only put up 9 points. I thought they were better than that. I thought that they would make it competitive. In fact, I thought they would win the game. I thought they would beat the Cardinals on the road.
Caleb Williams gotten dinged up 2 weeks in a row. He seems to be his operating procedure right now is to get dinged up a little bit. Not bad enough that it'll keep you out or anything, but dinged up is dinged up. But with that being said, Caleb Williams is the biggest disappointment to me in the entire NFL. Here he is, the number 1 draft pick. How would you rather have a young man at quarterback for the Washington Commanders on your Chicago Bears team? Because that's who I wanted to be picked first. That's who I wanted to go first was Jalen Daniels. That was to me.
And all Jaden Daniels has done is lead the Commanders to a 7-2 record.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy for them yesterday against the Giants in a divisional game. The Giants came back in the fourth quarter and made it a ball game, but Daniels was able to, lead them to a victory. And it sounds like I read a report the other day, I think it was Adam Schefter that reported that players in advance of the trade deadline are requesting to go to the Commanders. They want to play with Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely.
What does that tell? That tells me that, obviously people think that he's a dynamic quarterback. And what's funny, Paul, is that it opens the door to this whole debate about, is it better to have a rookie quarterback sit for a while and learn, or is it better to have a rookie quarterback just jump right in? And I think the jury is still out because you've got Caleb Williams on one hand, not really working great right now. You've got Jaden Daniels on the other hand. It is working really well. Anthony Richardson, they threw him into the fire. The Colts did a year ago. Then they benched him for Joe Flacco. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that there is a one size fits all mentality, but the fact that Jaden Daniels has been able to lead this team to a 7-2 record, I think they're winning the division. I think that they're better than the Eagles are. They're clearly better than the Giants. They're clearly better than the Cowboys. I think Washington wins this division. I think they make a playoff run.
Boy, the upside is unbelievable. I would have never said what just came out of your lips just now. Would you have ever dreamed 6 to 8 weeks ago this is what you would have said, those words? Because I wouldn't have. You
probably not. I like Jaden Daniels a lot.
But you didn't know him at the time, and now you know that this is a really good football player. And on the other hand, having watched Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears preseason, you could see that there's a distance between the game of football and the persona of Caleb Williams. I mean, most football players at the NFL level, this is their everything. Other than your family, this is your everything. I didn't get that sense watching him on Hard Knocks. I didn't get that sense. Now, what's keeping Chicago Bears fans sane is they got pretty good defense. Defense pretty good. Defense is keeping them in game. Believe it or not, defense is keeping them in games. But Caleb Williams is a disaster, and I believe that might be one. You asked me what are you watching in the NFL? What's your take? That's one of the big ones. The first round draft pick is. Do I dare say the word bust? Should I? It's too early?
I mean, the Bears.
How about disappointment? Is that a better?
The Bears are 4-4.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not 0-8. They're not 2-6. They're 4-4. There's a lot of talent on that team. They've got probably, maybe not probably, probably objectively the best receiving core in the NFL.
That's right.
With Odunze and Allen and DJ Moore, like they're loaded
at receiver and great defense. This team should be better than 4-4.
They don't have a running back. They don't have a running game. That's an issue, I think.
Well, Caleb Williams can take off any
right, but they don't have a dedicated. Their run game could be a whole lot better.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Run game could be a whole lot better.
I got you.
So that was probably my biggest disappointment from yesterday was just the way that the Bears played against the Cardinals. But a close second to that for me, the Cowboys, and you mentioned them before, and I know there's quite a few Cowboys fans in this area. They're 3-5. They're worse than 3-5. Mm-hmm. They really are, and it's just the drama continues because you've got Dak obviously dealing with an injury. I thought Cooper Rush actually looked better than Dak did when he took over for Dak. In the third quarter, I think Rush is probably a better quarterback, or at least even with Dak Prescott at this point.
Right.
Then you add in the drama with Ezekiel Elliott not playing in the game for disciplinary reasons. He was a healthy scratch because he's been late to practices and meetings and things like that. That hasn't been the homecoming that everybody wanted it to be. That was really the only move of even minor significance that Jerry Jones did in the offseason. He didn't even play yesterday. And then just everything with Mike McCarthy. Now, I don't know where the Cowboys go from here. You're 3-5. Jerry Jones said after the game that they had, I think his quote was, several things in the mix leading up to the trade deadline. Do you anticipate in the next 24 hours that Jerry Jones will be active before that deadline comes and goes?
Yes, I think he'll be active because
what's he going to do?
He's whatever he does, he's going to mush it around in his mind, and it's going to be the thing to do. Jerry Jones is not the kind of guy that's going to sit back and let this go on. He's going to do something. What he does, I don't know.
Think he will. I disagree with you because the signs were there in the offseason, and he did nothing in the offseason. He said that he liked the team that he had, and that literally they didn't get any better. They brought in Ezekiel Elliott. Okay, great. They brought him back. Shell of his former self. Not the same Zeke that everybody grew to love over the years. Let's just face it. He's washed. Like Ezekiel Elliott is washed. That's the only thing that Jerry Jones did. There's nothing to me that would indicate that he's going to do anything of significance before the trade deadline.
Oh, I get what you're saying, and I might be missing the point because I'm thinking rationally. Jerry Jones is going to stick with what he's doing because he's Jerry Jones.
And that's why I said
that, and maybe, something, I didn't look at it that way. I just looked at it that the pride of Jerry Jones, this is a man whose entire life is based upon the Dallas Cowboys. And he's going to do something. He's not going to allow this team to get worse, but it certainly has the capacity to get worse before it gets better. And he's going to do something. So I was looking at it in the wrong way. You're looking at it and saying, his pride won't allow him to do anything. And I'm saying his pride is going to make him do something.
I think that there's a major difference between Should they do something at the trade deadline, and will they do something at the trade deadline? They absolutely should. I mean, they should have done a lot in this offseason and probably blown the team up. Really, they were able to reach an agreement with CeeDee Lamb. Okay, great. They were able to reach an agreement with Dak Prescott. I mean, that's probably not the best thing that they could have done.
To do at the moment.
Not the best decision. We don't know how long he's going to be out. But I mean, he's not going to. I mean, Dak's not going to lead you to where you need to be as a franchise. I just don't see that happening at this point. And that's why I said in our last segment, when you brought up Mike McCarthy and could he be another mid-season firing in the NFL? I don't think so. He should be. He absolutely should be, but he won't be. Yeah, I don't see Jerry Jones making a move like that midway through the season. I think that it's going to have to play out. They could very easily lose every single game in their schedule. They could finish the year 3-14 when it's all said and done. They won't. I'm sure they'll get a couple more wins, but it will take something like that, I think, for Jerry Jones to make a move, at least at coach.
Can I throw one more team at you before we get out of this segment?
Absolutely.
That I find fascinating, and I don't know why I should. We all know who they are, what they are, and how good they are, and that's the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
And I find the addition of Derrick Henry fascinating. It's a fascinating addition to a football team. And rarely do we see somebody come in, make this kind of impact. He's a big deal for this team. By the way, interesting little tidbit for whatever it's worth. His first touchdown of the game yesterday gave him his 100th touchdown in his NFL career. And I did not realize this, but I'm going to ask you a question because I didn't know this, but I'm going to ask you, if I was to say, how many NFL running backs do you think have 100 touchdowns? Because I thought there would be a lot more.
Probably not many. I mean, shoot, are we talking like maybe a dozen?
You're really close because I thought it was going to be more than that. It's 10.
Okay.
He becomes the 10.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, where have I been? What do I not know?
It makes sense because of the relatively short shelf life for running backs in the NFL.
That's probably right. But I thought to myself, and I believe, is it right? I believe it's right. I don't have it in front of me. 102 yards or over 100 yards.
106 is what he had
106
yesterday.
So you look at that and you think to yourself, man, oh man, I'll tell you what, this is a fascinating team. Would this team be the same team, the same wins? And by the way, I'm disappointed. I think everybody's disappointed in the number of wins they have. They've lost some games. Let's face it, they shouldn't have lost
100%.
But Derek Thomas has brought Derrick Henry has brought so much good to this football team that it just blows my mind. He has been a real add, and maybe one of the most significant adds of this football season in the NFL. There's not a lot.
I think it is the single most significant addition in the NFL.
That's what I'm
because it adds a whole new dimension to the offense that they didn't really have before. And I know that they had, Justice Hill and Gus Edwards and Dobbins, like they had running backs, but having a consistent bell cow in Derrick Henry and what he's done is just massive for them. On paper, Paul, the matchup yesterday with the Broncos was supposed to be the most evenly matched game in the NFL.
Well,
I mean, both teams are 5-3, but you can tell the difference between those two teams.
Yeah.
The Ravens blow out Denver 41-10.
Right. Yeah.
Tells me that Baltimore shouldn't have lost the games that they lost.
That's what it tells me.
It tells me that the Broncos are good, but they've still got a little bit of a ways to go, I think. In their growth. They've got some exciting young players and things like that. I think Bo Nix is showing that he could potentially be somebody in the NFL. That's all well and good, but man, the Ravens they're dynamite.
I'd rather play the Chiefs in the playoffs than the Ravens. Yes, I said that.
I mean, look, they can come out and they can punch you right in the face.
Bingo.
That's what
You're
the
right
Ravens
on
do.
top.
But they can also make some pretty backbreaking mistakes.
Well, that's
why they're 5-3. That's a huge reason why they're 5-3. But Lamar looked great as he has for most of this season. He's on pace for potentially another MVP. Derrick Henry looks like he could be the offensive player of the year in the NFL. The Ravens rolled the Broncos yesterday, 41-10. You mentioned the Chiefs. We've got the Chiefs right here on our network tonight. In fact, the Chiefs Radio Network with Mitch Holthus over on KNSS, Monday Night Football taking on Tampa Bay. You can listen to the national broadcast right here on KFH. So 2 different ways to consume the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. And then, of course, Wichita State men's basketball will be over on KUIN. They're on the road at Western Kentucky as they start off their season. We're proud to be the home of Shocker basketball over on KEYN. But we're going to get into the Chiefs in our next segment, previewing Monday Night Football. what the Chiefs have to expect against Tampa Bay. We'll do that on the other side. It's Sports Daily right here on KFH.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSCW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over at Crestview Country Club. Fall at the club. There's still a lot going on, although I know over the weekend with all the rain, it wasn't like it was good golf weather, but there's still a lot of indoor activities that you can take part in over at Crestview, including tennis and the restaurant. So many other things happening there at Crestview Country Club. And then holidays at the club are just around the corner. Brunch experiences. There's a New Year's Eve event, youth activities, adult nights, and so much more, all going on over at Crestview. And we certainly appreciate their partnership with us here on Sports Daily.
Oh, I love the place. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Tommy.
Always a lot of fun. Let's get into the Kansas City Chiefs Monday Night Football tonight. Of course, you'll be able to hear the Chiefs Radio Network with Mitch Holthus over on KNSS. And actually, Mitch was on Steve and Ted on Friday talking about the matchup with the Buccaneers, and I believe we have that audio ready to go.
We get the mercurial Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which should be interesting, and Baker Mayfield. You can doubt the Chiefs. Dislike the Chiefs, disrespect the Chiefs, but you're going to have to deal with the Chiefs, which has become a little bit of a battle cry of the kingdom. You really have to say the same thing about Baker Mayfield. You can hate him, but you got to respect him. It's Wes Montooth and Anchorman here, because just when you think Mayfield's gone and buried, he, like Rasputin, comes back. He leads the NFL with 21 touchdown passes. He is definitely ornery enough to win this game Monday night. So we got our hands full with Baker Mayfield.
And I love that because, Baker goes under the radar now at this point in his career, Paul, kind of going from the brink of not being in the league anymore to now leading a Buccaneers team, throwing more touchdown passes almost than anybody else in the league. And I think the Buccaneers outside of the Falcons are the best team in that division in the NFC South. And I think Mitch is right. It's going to be a task, I think, for the Kansas City defense to try to contain Baker.
Well, of course, the way that you will contain Baker Mayfield, and it's not like he's going to be a guy like a Lamar Jackson who can hop out of the pocket and take off and all that. He doesn't want to. He can do it. Don't get me wrong, he can do it, but that's not necessarily the game he wants. But the way that the Chiefs, if they want to control Baker Mayfield, pressure up the middle, pressure off the rim. Those are the kind of things that you got to get a good quarterback. The old philosophy, it's still tried and true, and it doesn't change from quarterback to quarterback or game to game. And that is put pressure on a quarterback. If you want to defend a really good quarterback, pressure on the quarterback is the way to do it. So that's what the Chiefs have to do. Well, this game will go greatly with regards to how much pressure the Kansas City Chiefs can put on Baker Mayfield. You take away the step up in the pocket, and then you probably have a pretty good shot. As a matter of fact, what you want him to do is to pop out and then go run him down. That's probably part of the game plan. Pop Baker Mayfield out of the pocket, run him down.
One of the things that I really, really like about Baker is he just has this mentality that, you know what, and Mitch alluded to this in his comments on Steve and Ted. He's going to go out and he's going to basically shove it in your face. He doesn't care if you like him. He doesn't care if you think he's obnoxious. He's going to go out there and he's going to leave it all on the line. He's been doing that since his college days and probably even before that. I've got a lot of respect for him because it didn't look like it was going to work out in the NFL long-term for him. He's revitalized his career and, he found a great landing spot in Tampa Bay. And honestly, I wasn't sure that it was going to work. He was following Tom Brady, right? He was the new quarterback after Tom Brady retired. Didn't think it was going to work. And it's working.
Yes, and it is. And of course, timing's everything, isn't it? I mean, how important is timing? Well, timing's everything. And you're exactly right. And of course, he's got a little this shove it in your face from his college days because he played at a football program at the University of Oklahoma that liked to shove it in your face a little, didn't they? I mean, that's sort of what the Sooners are all about and have always been about. And so that comes naturally to him. And you're right. But he is a good, solid quarterback. Is he Tom Brady? No, I don't think he's Tom Brady. Is he a good quarterback? He's doing really well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But here's the thing. He's fit into a program where he fits and fits well. And that's part of the situation for him. He's doing the things, and they're allowing him to do the things that he does well. He doesn't do everything well, but those are the things that he can do well. I mean, he's going to hit the mid-range passes, the outs, the flats. He's going to hit the hitches. He does all that well. He's probably not quite as, and this is just subjective, but he's probably not quite as effective on fades and that kind of stuff. But he can still hit them. Don't get me wrong. But he can control a football field with his arm.
Well, here's the thing about Baker too this season is that while he leads the league in touchdown passes and he's second in the league in passing yards per game, he's also tied for the league lead in interceptions. So he'll make mistakes. Like they're going to put him in a position to where he can kind of go out there and be a little bit of a gunslinger.
Mhm.
Now it does change things when you don't have Chris Godwin and you don't have Mike Evans. And he's not going to have either one of them. Godwin is done for the year. Mike Evans is not playing in this game. So your top two receivers, you're down. That might change things a little bit, but I think the Chiefs, to your point about disrupting him, that's going to be a key for them defensively, is to get him off schedule, to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. He likes to get the ball out quickly. If you can get him moving, if you can get him off balance and all of that's really where the pass rush, I think, for Kansas City is going to be so imperative tonight for them.
Well, I think that's pretty well said. And of course, here again, the key to the defense for the Chiefs is probably, how about this? How about this for a surprise? Push in the middle with Chris Allen.
Chris Jones.
I mean, you get to a point with a guy like Chris Jones, if he gets the push that we think he can get, then this becomes a different game. This becomes a different game for Baker Mayfield. This becomes a game where, you don't have that room to operate in the pocket. And even with that being said, he's no Patrick Mahomes on working in the pocket. That's for sure. You're going to see expertise working in the pocket when you watch Patrick Mahomes tonight. He's as good as anybody. Well, Lamar Jackson's pretty good too, but Patrick Mahomes, I think, is the traditional quarterback, the greatest operator in the pocket in the NFL. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but he's certainly up there if that's the case. But
I think honestly, I think that's a part of Mahomes' game that's been underrated, because everybody focuses on what he does on the run and how he can create something out of nothing. He can make these spectacular throws on the run, or he can run for first downs that are just incredible. And, just being Houdini in that regard. Because of that, when he does something in the pocket, you kind of gloss over it because you're like, it's just, he's in the pocket. He's just making a throw there. But I think it's an underrated part of his game when he's able to be in the pocket with time to be able to let things develop downfield. On that note, Paul, especially talking about downfield, this is game number 2 with DeAndre Hopkins in a Chiefs uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first opportunity for DeAndre Hopkins to be in front of the home crowd at Arrowhead in prime time on Monday Night Football. He's had additional time now to get acclimated to the Chiefs offense. If it were me, I mean, I'm gonna pound the player props, I think, with DeAndre Hopkins tonight. I think that they're going to deliberately try to find a way to get him significantly more involved in the offense in game number 2. I think he's going to have a really big night.
Right. I mean, you have a Monday game that gives you an extra day of practice.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you right now, that's huge. That's a really good point. The props is maybe the place to go. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but what a difference a day makes for a Hopkins or somebody like that, fresh into and getting that relationship.
And they got him involved a week ago on the road. He only had 2 or 3 days to get ready to join the team. And then he played when they took on the Raiders, and he didn't have a huge game, but he had a couple targets and caught a couple passes. And I think that'll just be even more so tonight.
Yeah, but that wasn't the game where he needed to come up big. I mean, that was sort of like we knew what was going to happen anyway. I believe that was that type of game. But with this game tonight, that extra day of practice, you're going to see marked improvement in the relationship between Hopkins and Mahomes.
Yeah.
You're just going to, because that extra day, and they're really focusing. I would probably say 70% of all the passes in practice are probably going to him, with whatever they do and whatever routes he's running, whatever they're calling, whatever down and distance situations they're doing in practice, all that kind of stuff. Don't you bet probably 70% of the reps are probably going to him. They're going to get this relationship, and this relationship has, quite frankly, it has the potential to be really good and pay off on at a high level.
Well, and I don't think that it's because they don't want to give the ball to anybody else, because they love Xavier Worthy, and obviously they have Travis Kelce. I mean, so it's not about that, but it's more about, man, Hopkins is still a game changer for us or for any team that he's on.
Yeah.
So the more that we can work him in, the greater level of success we'll have. I'm looking at his player props right now. The line for receptions, the over-under line is 3.5.
Wow.
He's got to get 4 catches on the game to hit that over. I think he gets 4 catches. I think he gets 6 catches tonight.
Yeah.
Or more than that.
Or more.
3.5. I really like that line. I'm going to hammer the over on that. And then receiving yards, 44.5. He's got to get 45 receiving yards or more to hit the over. I think he'll do that too.
He does that on one fade, for Guy's sake.
He does that too. So I think that just because of the longer time that now he's had in getting ready after last week's game, the extra day with it being Monday Night Football, the home crowd, all of that, man, I love DeAndre Hopkins' spot in this game.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, he has certainly he has had the potential of making this football team even better, if that's possible. And of course, we all know it is possible because of the injuries to running back, because of the injuries to and problems that the receivers have had on the Kansas City Chiefs. But he sure brings a lot to this football team. But thank goodness the defense is going to remain consistent. It's going to remain good. It's really going to be one of the better defenses, I think, in the AFC, don't you? I mean,
I think so.
I think so.
I think so.
I mean, there's always injuries and things that we don't see. But I'm just thinking to myself, this is a football team, that's could rally. And could we have a 1972 Miami Dolphins situation? I'm asking that. I'm really asking. I'm serious about that.
Probably not. And the reason that I say that is just because that's not the focus of the Chiefs. Dan Israel last week when he was on our program said that, he could envision a scenario where the Chiefs are 12-0 or 13-0, and then Andy Reid just rests everybody for the rest of the season to get them ready for the playoff push.
Yeah.
And you're talking about more than one game there. You're talking about multiple games. So I don't think so. Although from a talent perspective, sure, absolutely. And it's the first or the next big test, not saying that the Buccaneers are not a big test because they are, but really the next big test is next weekend when the Chiefs go to Buffalo. That's really going to be I think the major litmus test for them. There's no doubt about it, but this is a good warm-up. It's a good warm-up against a team tonight that they're competing for a playoff spot. They were a playoff team a season ago. They've got injuries at wide receiver, but Baker Mayfield has shown that he can get the job done. But where the warm-up is and where the Chiefs can really have a lot of success, Tampa Bay's pass defense is not very good. They're not very good at all. In fact, over the last 2 games, the Buccaneers have allowed 72 points and 451 yards per game. They're giving up a lot of yards.
That is a lot.
So this is an opportunity, I think, for the offense for Kansas City, which, let's face it, hasn't been outstanding for a large portion of this year, for them to break out a little bit and get ready for a Buffalo game next weekend.
And of course, the one wild card with the Buffalo game is the weather. Now, this last game with the Dolphins and the Bills was interesting because just looking, I never did really hear on the broadcast how cold, how warm it was, what it was, but I saw people on the sidelines working with shorts on. So I mean, it had to have been fairly nice. We're not yet into December, January Buffalo weather yet. We're not there yet where you could have 3 feet of snow when you drive to the stadium, which we have seen even just last year. So we're not there yet, but weather could always have a potential and probably in the playoffs, if anybody has to go to Buffalo once the playoffs start, it's going to have a major deal. So we'll see about that. But you look at the Bills, that's also a game that's going to be close, but it's also a game the Chiefs are very capable of winning, but the Bills are going to be a different story than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. There are some things that, well, let's just face it, the Buccaneers don't match up near as well with the Chiefs as the Bills do. And and by the way, listen, when I'm looking at the best quarterbacks in the NFL, I'm going to throw Kansas City. I'm going to throw the Bills. I'm going to throw who else am I going? I'm going to throw. We got to throw Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in there. The Ravens. I'm going to throw the Lions and well, there's the top 4. Those are quarterbacks at teams with quarterbacks that are just unbelievable. Those are the guys that. Do you put Baker on that list? I mean, he leads the league in touchdowns thrown. No, I don't. But he also second in the league in passing yards a game. No, I'm not. Why? I'm just curious. Well, the stats are there. Interceptions too. That's true. It's a good point. I mean, is a lot of turnovers. Do you think Mayfield he benefits, at least before the injuries, benefited from having
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two of the best in the league to catch the balls.
Think that makes a difference? I kind of think it does make a. I don't think it makes. I think it makes a difference.
I don't think you can discount him. I think he's
Come on. You got to have receivers. If you're a quarterback, you got to have receivers. I mean, we saw how tough it was for Patrick Mahomes when he was sort of playing with a depleted core of receivers. You saw a lot of stuff going to Kelsey at that time when that was happening. But I mean, you've got to have receivers. You've got to have receivers who catch the ball and get after catch yards. Man, that's an art. Yep. That's not easy to do. In the NFL, that's an art. You got to have those kind of guys.
Kansas City 9-point favorites at home tonight on Monday Night Football. We'll see if they're able to get that done and close out the week and stay undefeated. Of course, as I mentioned before, you can listen to both broadcasts. There are two different broadcasts on our network, the Chiefs Radio Network, Mitch Holthus and the gang over on 98.7 and 1330 KNSS, and the national broadcast with Westwood One right here on KFH. Pre-game on KNSS begins at 6 o'clock. Over here on KFH, it begins at 6:30. Kickoff is around 7:20 to 7:30 or so tonight as the Chiefs take on the Buccaneers at Arrowhead Stadium on Monday Night Football. On the other side, the Shockers kick off their regular season tonight on the road at Western Kentucky, and they got some big news from the NCAA regarding the eligibility of one of their potential top players. We'll have that and a whole lot more as we continue on at Sports Daily on a Reaction Monday. We'll be right back.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSCW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, let's get you a chance to win some free tea and coffee with HTO. All you have to do is text the keyword tea, that's TEA, to 20357. Each participant can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Again, that's the keyword T, TEA, to short code 20357 for your chance to win some free coffee and tea courtesy of our friends over at HTO. Paul, college basketball gets underway tonight and tomorrow. A lot of the major teams around the country are getting going here in the next day or two. And some big news for Wichita State. Now, they tip off tonight on the road at Western Kentucky. Of course, listeners can hear the game over on our sister station, 103.7 KUYN. But some big news over the weekend. The NCAA granted Mate Bajnak, the Croatian transfer, eligibility to play this season for Wichita State. He's a guy that has been highly touted. It was a big get for Paul Mills and the last one to join the program for this season. But there were questions about whether or not he would actually be eligible. The NCAA made the decision that he would be. That's a little bit different because there have been a couple of instances in the last few years where players like Teddy Allen and Colby Rogers were not given eligibility. They were denied that and had to sit out for Wichita State. So it's I guess it's a breath of fresh air. We haven't seen this happen recently with Wichita State, but definitely good news as they start their season.
Well, there's no question you catch a break here or there. I mean, and by the way, you never know what's going on with those kind of things, and sometimes those things can take a while. But I'm glad this is all set. Still early enough in the season. He's going to be in the rotation.
100%.
And he might even be. He might even be in the rotation tonight. I don't know. But this is going to be a fun game tonight because Western Kentucky, don't sleep on Western Kentucky. If you're a Shocker fan and you think, well, this is just a regular first game of the season, it's going to be about against somebody that's an also-ran. This is a really good basketball program. This is one whale of a way for a Wichita State to start their basketball season. This is a team that brings back a lot of starters. It's done well in the tournament over the years.
And credit to Paul Mills, by the way, for scheduling a road game at Western Kentucky to start the season. I mean, that's not it's not a cupcake game inside Koch Arena to get going. Like, it's kind of like jumping right in head first on the road to start things off.
Of course, we've interviewed Paul Mills a number of times over the last couple of years, enough to know that he's going to challenge his team.
Sure.
This is a challenge to his team. This is like saying, hey, no cupcakes. Not yet.
Yeah.
You haven't earned your cupcakes. So we're going to go on the road and we're going to play a really good. basketball tournament team. We're going to play somebody that's really good. And, this could be a great learning experience for the Shockers. Listen, I won't be surprised if Western Kentucky wins at home. That's a good basketball program. But I'm going to tell you this, a lot of good is coming out of playing this team this early, this good, this seasoned. An NCAA basketball team, tournament team, is a good test for the Shockers. And I think Mills is laying down the gauntlet, saying, here's what it is, guys. Let's step up and react. We've been working hard. Let's see what we got. I'm going to test you right out. And I'm not so sure that's not a bad way to approach it.
There have been many times during this offseason after Bosniak joined the team that he was described as the best player out on the court in practices. And I know there was a close scrimmage not too long ago against Oklahoma State that, he was credited as being one of the better players on the floor. So he will impact this team immediately. That's the cherry on top.
That's right.
With this roster, with the starting lineup that Paul Mills needed, he provides a ton of depth in the front court. He's 6'9", 240. He'll be able to provide a good change of pace from Quincy Ballard. They could share the court at the same time if they needed to. This was a really, I don't think you can overstate. This was a really, really big decision that it's so great that it went the direction of Wichita State. This helps them not just in the future. It helps them, I would imagine, as soon as tonight on the road in tonight's game.
And let's go ahead and build on it with a win, because this is not just your normal opening game. It's, we've actually heard of these. How many times has the Shockers played somebody I'm not sure I've ever really even heard of them, let alone know where they're at or what league they're in. But this is a real test. I want to emphasize that to our listeners. This is a good basketball program.
Man, I'm really excited about year 2 of the Paul Mills era at Wichita State. There's energy, enthusiasm. I think things are moving the right direction for sure, and it all gets going tonight. We'll tell you when you can listen, where you can listen, and everything else going on our network. Coming up next on the other side, it's Sports Daily, coming right back.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch. 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSTW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local. and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, that's it. Regular programming here today. Jim Rome follows us next. Bob and Jeff locally at 2, Zach Gelb at 4. And then we get into Monday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, the Chiefs Radio Network call with Mitch Holthus over on KNSS. Pregame begins at 6 o'clock. The national broadcast, Westwood 1, right here on KFH, beginning at 6:30. And then over on KUIN 103.7, Shocker basketball on the road at Western Kentucky. Year number 2 of the Paul Mills era kicks off. Cannot wait for it. We'll be back tomorrow. Paul, enjoyed it today.
Enjoyed it myself, big boy.
All right, we will see you back here tomorrow for Jad, for Paul. I'm Tommy. Have a great Monday. See you back here on a Tuesday.
In Odyssey.